Hello, and welcome to the Notary Business Talk, the podcast dedicated to sharing ideas, strategies, and techniques to help grow your business and improve your life. And now, with more than 2 decades of notary business experience, your host, Abraham Zamora, the notary entrepreneur.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Notary Business Talk. My name is Abraham Zamora, and I am the Notary Entrepreneur. In this episode, we're going to discuss how to adapt and grow your notary business during and in a recession. As many of you who are actively notaries have noticed that we've had a slowdown in the industry, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that we're entering a recession due to interest rates and all these sort of things that are happening. And so today we're going to talk about what it means to be in a recession as a notary and how you can prepare, adapt, and grow your business as we start entering this sort of phase in the market, this cycle that we're experiencing now. But before we get started, my unofficial co-host Ronnie Mickle is here today to join us and give us his wonderful feedback, which we all enjoy. I get the feedback from you guys, and I get the messages, and I know you guys love them a whole lot. But for those of you who are new to the show and maybe don't know exactly who Ronnie is, let me quickly introduce you. He is the original founder of Unlimited Ink Notary, a nationwide signing service company, and the founder of Notary Stars, which is an educational and training platform for new and experienced notaries who are just trying to get an edge in the market and improve themselves and their business. So with that said, Ronnie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And I enjoy being here. I appreciate being back. I love doing this. Pretty much we do it almost every month nowadays, or these days. So I appreciate it. And I love being here right at the beginning of the year because there's a lot of good energy right at the beginning of the year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think what our audience really loves is not only the chemistry we have as friends here, but the fact that we don't always agree and we have different points of view. And I think in a way, we both grow as a result, but then so do the people that listen to the show. So it's a win-win for everyone. So, but today I want to talk about 3 main things. And the first thing is sort of recapping what we experienced over the last year and kind of how Ronnie and I see things moving forward. We also want to discuss and sort of how we started the year off. Ronnie and I were invited to be participants to what was called the 2023 Level Up Notary Summit, and so we're going to discuss a little bit of our experience, what we talked about during that summit, and kind of what our takeaways were. And for those of you who are interested, how to actually access that summit as a replay if you guys want to get more information. And then finally, we're going to talk about how to actually adapt and grow your notary business during a recession. And really what Ronnie and I both see as a golden opportunity to really take your business to the next level in a way that wasn't really possible when things were so busy and chaotic and hectic. It's definitely a different environment. And for those who are willing to make changes, to improve, to grow in a way that I will recommend how we think you should do it, and take it for what it's worth. We really believe that this is an opportunity for a lot of people to just get ahead of the line here. And I'll say this personally, Ronnie, and you tell me how you feel about this, but I personally love these sort of cycles, these downturns. I find them to be the most advantageous in my business, and I'm constantly preparing for these sort of opportunities. I don't know if you see it like that in terms of an opportunity when we have slowdowns and recessions.
I do. And, just to add to this, because, we have different types of our different notaries in different places in their career. And just to give you an idea of how great a slowdown really is, and we're going to get more into this as we go along.
Sure.
But this is the perfect time. Title and escrow officers have been losing their jobs, and they're hiring in, people who don't cost as much to run those operations, or the branch manager who let the escrow officers know, choose their own notaries, now don't have relationships with notaries, and they have to build those. So this is kind of like the perfect time to kind of do that. But I've had this happen, and it doesn't just take a recession. Anytime you get knocked down.
Sure.
2 times in my notary career. Early on, I was ran over by a car, broke my back in 3 places, had to have a major surgery. It's where the birth of my signing agency really started. And then, a few years later, after I was all healed and back out in the field, I fell off a 6-foot loading dock on an appointment, re-injured my back, and, spent several time. And I used those downtimes to build what I have now.
Yeah.
And so anytime you have a slowdown period, I want to make sure it doesn't matter if it's a recession or not. You can use downtime to build landing pages, get more business, formulate whatever you want next. So it's not just a recession. We're just hyper-focusing in on it today because we're all going through it at the same time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're in the very early stages of it. And I think this is the perfect time to have this conversation, because I really think this is where the opportunity begins. It reminds me of Colonel Sanders from KFC, and I think he was in his 60s when they built a bridge over his little fried chicken shack. And because of that bridge being built over his business, he had to go out of business. So as a result of that pain, of that struggle that he had to go to, and hopefully you guys don't have to struggle as much as that, but that led to him franchising and then eventually becoming KFC and what he is today. If they hadn't built a bridge over his business and took him out, that may have never happened, right? So it's really perspective in the way you look at the situation, I think. So let's go ahead and talk about recap. And so Ronnie and I, we're good friends, and we've had these conversations for months and months and months. And in fact, in the last couple of months that we've been recording shows and having conversations, we've been sort of preparing and sort of explaining the sort of things that we think notaries should be doing for just this very moment, right? And so first thing, I want to recap sort of the things we have recorded in the past, and sort of a shameless plug to invite you guys to go back and re-listen to those episodes because I think they're really relevant now more than even back then. For you guys to listen to. And I think the most important one, which we did in fact, it was just the very last episode 29, I believe, was how to set goals, right? How to plan for this sort of new chapter in our business. And so, so there's that definitely that podcast that we recommend you guys listening to. And then we did a few podcasts on how to get yourself listed properly. Now that things have slowed down, it's not like it used to be. We definitely need to think more strategic about the way we list ourselves online in directories. Along with that, we talked about saving costs and how to get more creative when it comes to building businesses. And I know for those of you who have listened, you'll also know that Ronnie wrote blogs about this. In fact, this is kind of how these episodes became episodes, is that he wrote them first and then discussed them. But what do you want to say about sort of what you were thinking about when you were writing those blogs, and kind of what was the ultimate goal for the people who were going to read and listen to those podcasts, Ronnie?
Well, here's the thing. Back when we started doing this, it was probably around July, and things were still really great. In fact, the best month we ever had at Unlimited Inc. was July. And that's in the entire, 10 years of existence. Our best month ever was July last year. But we knew it was coming, right?
Right.
I started writing these blogs well ahead of time. We had them planned out. You were able to look at them. We knew what was coming. And a lot of times the notaries did not know what was coming, and it got perpetually worse and worse. Now, here's the thing. I know that there are so many people that have listened to the podcast, and there are so many people who have watched us on Notary Stars Unlimited, and there are so many people who have attended most recently conferences with us. But I also know that there are notaries who have not put into action what they've learned.
Right.
And if you have not read, let's go over it again. Those 4 that we did. How to set goals.
It was how to set goals.
Too late.
Nope.
Notary listings, why they're so important, and how to update those and what to think about.
Right. How
to save on cost for your notary business, and how to get more business. Those are very valuable, and the notaries who have followed those have seen benefit from them. Really, my reminder here about this is to make sure that don't just take information, use the information and put it into play. When I graduated my master's degree, Condoleezza Rice was the speaker, and I love what she said, because the very last thing she said to us, and she goes, you're going to forget everything that is said here today, but I'm going to tell you to focus on this. And she said, you now have education. Your responsibility is to use it, put it into play. And that is how your education will benefit you. And it gives me chills just thinking about it, because that was true. And every time I go somewhere or learn something, or like this summit that we just went to, I try to take away something and think to myself, what did I learn? How could I put that into play?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's that saying, knowledge, they say knowledge is power. And really it isn't unless you apply it. I mean, you could know a whole lot of stuff, but I'd rather know less and actually apply it than know a whole bunch of stuff and do nothing with it. And I think this is part of what we're talking about, right? How to adapt and grow. And the grow part of the title is the opportunities. It's a competitive market now. It's not what it was for the last 2-3 years when we had this refi boom. It's not just picking low hanging fruit. Now we actually have to be business owners and think and act like business owners. And this is what business owners do: is they take their business serious. They take their business listing serious. I mean, this is part of your marketing. A serious business will cut costs when things slow down. I mean, you have to do that kind of stuff. So,
yep. And if you don't mind me interjecting with this,
sure,
too, because it could be a little depressing to hear all this right now. Like, you're going to have to adapt and all that stuff. So if you don't mind, I'd like to give a prediction or projection for the year so that people stay. First of all, I want to say that, Travis and myself really follow interest rates and why they're up higher and when they're coming down. And we're looking at probably about 6 to 7 months before things start to really turn around.
Okay.
So what happened is the feds have raised the interest rates to balance out inflation. And we've already started, and if you listen to the news in the morning at all, in the last couple of weeks, they've already started saying it's starting to level out. It's balancing before we thought it was going to. We thought it was going to be the first part of 2024. Now we're looking and thinking throughout the last quarter of 2023, we will start to see uptick. And then around the first quarter of 2024, things being really thriving again. And the reason I bring this up about the projections and predictions is because for our industry, this is the perfect time to reinvent yourself,
right,
to go out and get new clients who are slow enough to listen to you come in the door right now. Or brand new to their company because they're replacing the person who got fired because they cost too much to keep them there. This is the perfect time to learn a new skill or add it back in to your skill set services. So for the next time that this happens, you have something to rely on. And that's another reason why we're all attending the Level Up Summit back this year. But I wanted to bring that out kind of early on in the podcast because I don't want people to listen and feel like, okay, we're just telling them this is going to be forever, because this is not going to be forever. It never is. Real estate is just feast or famine. We're just in the famine portion of it right now.
Yeah, and this is exactly where the opportunity is. And in fact, and this is where we maybe disagree, but I think the longer it stays slow, the bigger the opportunity becomes, right? It's weeding out a lot of the of your competition, unfortunately, and not everyone's going to make it. And but for those of you who listen to the show, for those of you who go to the summits, for those of you who do what we're going to suggest you do, which is what we're doing, you're going to come out on the other side, 10 times better. And oh boy, here we go. Camera issues there. But, I've been doing this for 22 years. Ronnie, you've been doing this for what, like 13, 14 years, I think? 13
to 14 years, yeah.
Yeah. And so we've seen this. I am not afraid, right? I mean, I've been expecting this. I'm cheery. I'm actually enjoying this extra time with my family, going on lots of vacations. I mean, I'm having a good time. This is not depressing. It's not a sad thing. And so I hope I wasn't coming across that way, Ronnie, but if I was.
No.
Thanks for.
I just wanted to make sure if there was people out there listening that they're not feeling the panic, because, we've been there before.
Yes.
This is not our first time at the rodeo. This might be their first time. And I wanted to kind of give that, when's it gonna end kind of thing, so that they didn't feel so inundated.
Right. So let's talk about the level. You mentioned the Level Up Summit, and it was an interesting summit. We had a lot of interesting speakers there, us among them, of course. These are the kind of notaries that are obviously taking their business serious. A lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. The theme of it was collaboration is the new currency. And so why don't you talk about a little bit about what you talked about and kind of what your speech was about for those who maybe want to go back and watch that or have an idea of what you discussed.
So actually, I'll provide you a link. So I previously recorded my particular session,
okay,
just in case we had any technical glitches or anything on the day of. And that way I wouldn't be missed in my segment. But my particular piece was how a successful signing agent can turn their business into $1 million signing agency. And I'll provide you a link to the previously recorded version of that, or the pre-recorded version. But I would like to say, if you do watch it, it's not as great as when I actually presented, because then there were people there and I could see their faces. I recorded that, just in my office with one other notary, and that version didn't come out great. So I wound up recording it 3 or 4 pieces. So it's still the presentation, but it's, the bare bones of it.
Right.
But I'll provide that to you so that people can watch it if they'd like to. And, it is a part of my marketing course. It was the official kickoff of the marketing segment of Notary Stars for this year, because we added a class in there on how to become a signing agency. And it's kind of the introduction to the thought process of, if you're looking to become a signing agency, what do you really need to think about?
Right. Great. Okay. Thank you. So yeah, send me that link. I'll put that in the show notes, guys. If you guys want to watch that and kind of get an idea of what it would be to become a loan signing agency, if that's kind of your goal in life, then I would definitely recommend you watch that as well. And then just in general, I definitely recommend Ronnie's marketing course on Notary Stars. I know we've talked about it before. I myself, every now and then attend his live sessions, but always go back and listen to the replays for the Notary Stars marketing educational side of his course. Now, for me, I was asked to talk about how to market during a recession, specifically marketing when the things have changed. And really, marketing during the recession is really when it matters, because when it's busy, you don't really have to do a whole lot of marketing. But and the idea with marketing is, and I think what I talked about was kind of how to stand out, how to be different, and how to think about yourself when it comes to the crowd of notaries out there. So anyhow, so we're going to talk a little bit about that today, but that was part of it. And I think the course, I mean, we had a lot of fantastic speakers. I mean, who was, I know you had talked about one specific a speaker that you were really impressed by, but her name
Absolutely. Kendra Lewis.
Kendra Lewis, that's right. Loan signing basics, was it?
Signing agent basics.
Signing agent basics, yeah.
Just in the theme of the conference was, collaboration is the new currency. And I started thinking about this. We were all there to kind of help notaries learn to collaborate with each other, or with a new partner or vendor or service or something. And when she spoke, when she said, some of y'all are going to hate me. I need to see you in the chat telling me you're not going to come try to kill me. But I'm going to tell you the truth. My heart went pitter patter, and I was like, I love this girl. Yeah. And I called her afterwards and said, look, I just want to personally thank you for your message. And if you haven't seen the Level Up replay, I think, Abraham, you said it's available for purchase. They can still purchase the replay.
Yeah, I think they're going to set that up.
That it was worth it just for her being there. What was your favorite piece out of the Level Up conference?
I think, by the way, was that your favorite part of the conference?
That was my favorite moment. I think another, and I still, forgive me, I don't remember the name, Ebony. Also, there was another theme, and I think her name was Ebony. If you remember her last name, and we'll try to find it and put it on the replay. But
the one that was real positive.
Yeah, she said, "Learn to do it scared." Because that's the biggest thing that notaries kind of go through, is afraid of adding a new service or taking their first signing or those sorts of things. She said, learn to do it scared. And that also really spoke to me. And I know it spoke to a lot of my colleagues and friends as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what I got out of the event was the number of opportunities that are out there for notaries beyond just being a notary. I mean, from fingerprinting to apostilles to becoming an officiant. I mean, there's really no excuse if you want to stay self-employed, if you want to not be at a 9-to-5 job. Yes, it's slow as a notary, but the opportunity that this industry gives us is the opportunity of freedom of time, or more time to pursue other things if we want to. And so to me, it was just how interesting how a lot of people started off as notaries and then veered off into other sort of side ventures, and then that became like their primary source of income, or what they enjoyed doing most. In particular, there was one guy who was a fingerprinting guy, and he says now the majority of his income comes from fingerprinting, but he started off as a notary, and it became a side hustle to the fingerprinting side of it. So just I
think sometimes, and not to interrupt you, but I think sometimes newer notaries, I'm glad you're saying this, because I think sometimes I tell notaries sometimes it's not shameful to have a Lyft sticker on your car, or Uber sticker, right, or anything, to have income coming in. The beauty of being self-employed, not just an independent contractor, but when you become an independent contractor and that's your way of getting your money, you're self-employed. And it doesn't matter where the funds come from. Now you might need to learn how to manage the tax purposes of all
sure.
that. But to this day, I'm a Lyft driver, Amazon Flex driver. I can walk dogs for a Rover. I own Unlimited Ink, Notary Stars. I have a DoorDash. I just signed up for a blogging service where I can write blogs and get paid for it. I get paid to do templates for Wix, or working on that. I'm almost at my point thing where I can actually sell templates that I built. I am an SEO artist for a company in the background. It is one of the things about being self-employed is that you can add services. And I'm also a wedding officiant.
Yeah.
I've written and published 3 books. It's endless when you're self-employed, and that's the beauty of being self-employed. And yes, I mean, we want the notary thing to work out, but I love also the slower times where I can focus sometimes on the other things I might want to do for a day. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to just be self-employed.
Right.
And the possibility is endless, really.
Yeah, I think this is the mind shift, right? The paradigm shift from thinking of yourselves as notaries to thinking of yourselves as entrepreneurs, right? And to think, 20 years ago when I started this business, it's nothing like it is today. I mean, I've had to grow and adapt to stay. But if I had thought of myself as a notary, and if things started to change, I wouldn't have been able to adapt, because, to me, being a notary was whatever the heck it was 20 years ago. But as an entrepreneur, you could do anything you really feel like doing, as long as it helps you achieve your values, and as long as you have integrity and character and you're being honest about it. So it's more about being an entrepreneur than it is just thinking about yourself and putting yourself in that little box of, I'm a notary and that's it, right? I mean, the opportunities are endless. And I think it was really showcased in this summit. I mean, I got excited about doing some extra things that I would have never thought about doing. And do I necessarily need to do it? No, but does it seem fun and interesting? Yeah, I mean, it really does. And so as I start doing those, I'll probably start reporting on them on the podcast. But anyhow, that's good. Yeah, I really enjoyed the summit, and it was a pleasure being invited to it. So thank you for the organizers, the Notary Cousins, who kind of put it all together. Okay, so now let's talk about adapting and growing during a recession, and sort of how we can turn what may seem like a bleak and depressing situation into this just amazing opportunity that most of you guys may not have thought about it this way, right? Well, we're trying to now, what we're going to do is try and change your perspective and change the way you see the glass here. And so we're going to do this in 2 parts. Number 1, how do you adapt, right? So yes, it was busy. Things were crazy. You were turning down work. It's not like that anymore. What are some changes? What are some things that we have to do to adapt until the next busy season? Ronnie predicts maybe 9 months. I think by the end of this year, we'll probably start picking up again. I personally have 3 rules when things start to slow down. And this is my rule in general, right? If you're going to be self-employed, if being a notary or whatever you decide to do as an entrepreneur is going to be your sole source of income, I think you need to have at least a minimum of 6 months, if not 12, which is what I have, of monthly expenses saved in an account. How do you feel about that, Ronnie? Is that your rule?
I'm glad you asked, because I was like, I don't want to interrupt, but I know people like you, and in fact, my biggest mentors say that. In fact, they say longer. However, I've never had that luxury when I got started.
Okay.
So my process is to hit the ground running. And, if you don't have that luxury, I will say this, it's time to get off your rear end, because my father gave me the best advice, because I come from a very poor family, and this is why I am the workaholic that I am. I started working when I was 13. I'm 42 now, going on 43 this year. And my dad looked at me when I moved out and he said, listen, if you ever find yourself in a financial bind, you're sitting on your best asset. And it took me a while. I told my mother, I said that. She goes, your father didn't say that. And I said, yes, he did. And what that means is get off your rear end and work. And sometimes I've told people this for years, and that is, it doesn't matter if you're taking small or large steps as long as you're moving forward. So, I've never had that luxury. So like when I got run over by a car, it was at the beginning of my notary business, and I had to figure it out. Like, how am I going to pay my rent or my bills? I don't have income. I can't walk. My back is broken. How am I going? And that's where I became a signing service.
Right.
And so if you don't have that luxury, you just got to find that will inside of you to go for it. And I've done a lot of things I don't want to do to get to where I'm at, like drive Lyft or walk dogs, or, take a small commission to get other notaries to do my job when I was becoming a signing agency, till I figured out how to manage everything. But I agree, you should have savings, but not everybody has that luxury, and sometimes if you don't have that luxury, you just got to find that fire, light that fire, and go for it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the next point here. It's interesting when you mention your sort of life experiences, and I think people enjoy hearing about those sort of things. What kind of got me to think the 6 to 12 months of expenses back in 2008 when the market crashed, and I think you started shortly after that. But during 2008, I mean, it was busy. It was really good right before that, and I did not have the savings. I was the kind of person that thought it was never going to end. It was always going to stay busy. I think a lot of notaries, newer notaries in the last 2 years had that same idea, that same mindset. Like, wow, I just stumbled into something amazing. I'm going to make all this money. It's always going to be like this. I'm going to spend it like I'm always going to have it. And I ended up losing everything I owned. I mean, I lost 3 homes during that time. I got my cars repossessed. I ended up losing my marriage because of the financial hardship that we experienced. And sometimes it takes a real painful experience to just ingrain in your mind certain things that you say to yourself, I'm never going to let that happen to me again. Some people just don't have to go to through that kind of experience. But now if I look back on it, I really am glad I kind of experienced that hardship, having to lose it all, start from the beginning. And because it's really shown me discipline. And so if you don't have the 6 months or 12 months, it doesn't mean you stop, right? It doesn't mean you don't. You do exactly what Ronnie just said, and you get off your butt and you get to work. There's no excuses. But if you want to not have to worry about your financial situation as much during a slowdown, it's something that I would recommend. And if it means get off your butt to start making more money to save up to get to that 6 months or 12 months, that's what I would recommend, right? I definitely, and I think you agreed, right? You said, Ronnie, if you're not there, try and get there, but don't let it stop you. I completely agree. And let's talk about that next in terms of not letting it stop you, right? So yeah, if you don't have that, right, then the next thing is to get off your butt, make a ton of money. But at the same time, if you're making money, and we'll talk about that in a minute, at the same time, especially when it's slow, it's important to cut costs and cut our expenses, not just in our business, but in our personal life. And I know we talked about that in a podcast. You had a blog. Let's talk about that a little bit, Ronnie. What's your take on cutting expenses and just being a little more responsible with your money when it slows down like this?
Oh, actually, there's a saying, and by no means am I calling myself rich. I mean, sometimes you'll hear me refer to how much the company makes, but in my presentation, I said, there will come a finite amount of money that you can make being at the top, because you have to pay other people to down the chain, your managers, your schedulers. So it's nice to say Unlimited Ink makes millions, but there is a finite salary that I could take, or there would be no one running the company but me, right? And there's no way to run a multi-million-dollar company by yourself. I can barely find time to do these podcasts with you, let alone, personal things. I mean, you give up a lot. Well, cutting expenses is something that I've done for years because remember, I came from a poor family.
Right.
And, some people don't come from a poor background and don't understand that every year I call my cable company like the day after my contract ends and say, I'm thinking about canceling. Can you get me a better deal? And I always save 50, 60 bucks. Recently, every time my car insurance renews, I've been through Geico and Progressive, I just saved, $48 a month on car insurance. And this, I don't get anything for saying this, but I go back and forth, and to find out who's the cheapest and who can give me the best and the same amount of coverage. You have to learn to say those things. A lot of times I call Verizon and, I have Disney Plus, Hulu, Netflix, all of those accounts. Two things that I do. My sister pays for one and I share that. My aunt pays for one and we share the family plan. We divide up who's paying for them and we all just log into those accounts and create the profiles underneath. There's a way to live a fabulous life,
right?
And cut expenses. I shop online for a lot of things. I go a lot of places. People tell me, you have the coolest shoes. I'm just going to hold my shoes up now for those who can actually see. These are cool, badass shoes. These shoes were $39 on Amazon. And everywhere I go, oh, you have cool kicks. You have the coolest kicks. When I love cool clothes in my personal life. I'm a too cool for school kind of guy. I've always been a good dresser. But I remember in high school, somebody asked me, they said, are you rich? Because, I don't have it on today, but I'm always wearing a chain or, something in my personal life or a cool t-shirt that looks expensive. And I'm like, no, my entire outfit's like $30. I buy things on sale. I put things in my shopping cart on Amazon and don't pull the trigger until it's time to do it. There's a ton of ways to save money. And we went over that in that blog.
Sure.
But in your business as well. And I have no shame in being a penny pincher because I like to look at my bank account and say, I have that. And it makes me nervous if I don't have it.
Right.
So I am the king of cutting expenses and finding a way to pay less for anything that I possibly can. As long as the car insurance, you have to have good coverage.
Yeah.
I have to have a certain amount of coverage because, especially owning a business, you rear in the wrong person, you're going to be paying for their life for the rest of your life. So
yeah,
I be very careful with insurance coverage. As long as I can get the coverages as I want, then I'll pay less for it.
Yeah, there's.
And I got laughed at today because I have no shame. I was talking to one of our escrow clients out of Washington, and we were talking about. She said it's almost time for her Botox, and I said, it's about a month and a half for mine. It's about time for me to get on Groupon. I love personal services like massage therapy and Botox.
Yeah.
I will not give them up because this face does not look like this without it. I have the 42-year-old man lines and I don't want them yet. I am kicking and screaming into old age. And I have never paid anywhere near what she said she pays for Botox because I go to Groupon, I get massages, I go to different places. Anything that's like luxury, I go on Groupon and I still live a life of luxury, but I know how to shop for those things.
Right.
So, sometimes as a business owner, you need to be able to keep that funds, God forbid I ever had to put some of my paycheck back into the company, but you have a company to run,
Right.
So you have to think about those things in the long run and the longevity of things.
I think now I know why my wife wants me to do Botox, by the way. You made some really convincing arguments there. But anyway, for those, yeah, so good. And by the way, and my take on that, oh, there it is again, camera issues. My take on that is, even though I have savings, I imagine I don't have it, and I live my life as if it, particularly when it slows down. I don't want to deplete those funds, so I want to definitely cut expenses. That episode, by the way, where we talked about cutting expenses was episode 25. So if anybody wants to go back and check that out.
I have to tell you one more thing. It's so funny. So my assistant, when I broke my leg last month Thanksgiving, I'm out of my cast booth now, but my assistant who takes my paycheck to the bank and deposits it, he had to take me to the grocery store because I couldn't drive the car with the boot on.
Yeah.
And we went to the dollar store and, I have really nice bottles that I put dollar store olive oil in. And I have really nice bottles that I put like cheap sugar in, because to me, sugar is sugar. Flour is flour. It doesn't matter where it comes from. And I buy things from the 99-cent and up store. And he goes, I can't believe, he goes, I see what you make, which is more than me. And he's paid well, by the way. But he goes, I see what you make and you still shop at the dollar store. He was like, it's just amazing. And I had this conversation with him. I was like, this is how you keep your money, is not just go buy it because you can.
Right.
So I just wanted to throw that in there too, because I thought it was funny, because people laugh. I've had people walk up to me and be like, really? The dollar store? And I'm like, yes, I love this place. It's like Christmas.
Amazing. I love it. Yeah. And by the way, the lower your expenses, the less you have to keep in savings to have that 6 to 12 months of monthly expenses. So definitely helps you with that. And it also helps you plan for what I call an if-then plan, which is my third point. And an if-then plan is to sort of have a plan B, right? If this happens, then I will do this, right? So things have slowed down. If notary business slows down, then I will do what, right? I will double down on my marketing. I will pursue wedding officiant services. I will do fingerprinting. These are the kind of things that you need to take time to, as part of your adaptive skills, to prepare for when things start to slow down. And now we're in this slowdown. So the question is, what now, right? What is it? If it's so slow that you're not getting enough work, if you're doing fine, then fine, don't worry about it. But you still should still have an if-then plan. But if it's slow, you're not where you want to be, then what is your plan, right? And I think that Level Up Summit was a great example of just ways of generating ideas of what else you could be doing, right? Or like Ronnie said, if the notary business slows down, then I'm going to drive Uber. Then I'm going to do Rover. I'm going to, do Instacart or whatever it takes, or go back to a job, right? If I have to, I say I've been doing this for 22 years straight, full time. That's actually a little bit of a lie. For 6 months during 2008, when the market crashed, I had to go sell insurance for, I think it was State Farm, for like 6 months part-time. And then I got fired, which is just proof that I can't be an employee. So, but I had to do what I had to do. I had a friend who was a lender, and he started delivering pizzas, while he got over that time back in 2008. So what is your if-then plan? And I think the Notary Summit was real helpful for me, at least, to kind of generate some ideas of what I might want to do. What are some suggestions that you might have with this, Ronnie, or do you want to just move into the growing part?
We can move into the growing part. My if then is it, I'm going to run from that harder than I'm going to run from age, because I don't want to ever be poor.
Yeah.
And to me, poor is not being able to, find the motivation to get out and do anything. It's because I've had nothing. I know what it's like to look in your cupboards and see no food. I know what it's like to wish you could afford an exterminator. I never want to go back to those. So my motivation is I'm never going to let that happen to me. So my if-then plan has always been anything that you see of interest, learn it and put it in your back pocket, even if you don't want to do it. So I've been collecting things that I could go do at any moment. And here's the funny thing, and I'll say this and we can go into grow. Like I sometimes go out and I will drive Lyft on a Sunday, or I will go out and DoorDash, because I talk so much title and escrow and notary work and attorney work from a signing agency that sometimes it's just nice to hear about someone else's day and what they think. I get anxiety when I'm not working, which is sad. I'm working on that, but I do get anxiety for not working. There's a real term, workaholic.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with myself when I'm not working. So sometimes I'll go do other things and they don't seem like work to me. Getting into another comfort zone where you are making money, but I love animals. There's 2 beautiful dogs sitting right down here at my feet right now, being very good boys and girls, but they, I love working with Rover. And it really bummed me out during the holidays, because I actually, even running this company during the holidays, do most of my work with rover.com. Because everybody's traveling and I live in a huge community. And so everybody knows me and I walk their dogs, for them when they're traveling, and I go check in on their cats. pets make me so happy. They're hearing me talk about them, and they're like, "Give me more love." But
can you show them on the screen?
Yeah.
Bring him up.
Come here, Porter. Come here, Porter.
So Ronnie's about to, let's see, grab his dog here, and we're gonna, for those of you who are watching on video, is it
Mr. Porter?
Is that the newer one?
This is the this is the newer. Mr. Shapi passed away after 17 years.
Right.
And this is Mr. Porter. He is a Chihuahua and a Pomeranian, so that's where he gets that. And he's also part Bichon Frise. I got their embark test, but he is just adorable. And then Miss Layla, come here, Miss Layla.
So he brings the dog up and it's licking his ear. For those of you who are just listening, yeah.
This is Miss Layla. We call her Mama, and she is a Yorkie, believe it or not, Australian cattle dog.
Really?
And Dotson. So she's 33% Dotson, 20% Yorkie, and about 23% Australian cattle dog. And she's just lovely and yummy and so sweet. She looks like a little teddy bear, and she keeps him in check. He's the wild one. She's the mama dog.
I love her
and they're
eyes.
both about 2 years old.
They're both about the same age. Oh, okay, right on.
Yeah.
Yay. Puppy time. Who doesn't love puppy therapy? I feel more relaxed already. All right, so let's jump. I'm gonna jump quick into, because we told ourselves we're gonna try and keep this at 45 minutes or less. We're at 45 minutes now, so I'm gonna jump straight into the grow part. I'm just gonna name off what I think we should work on as part of growing your business. Ronnie, if you want to chime in, and then we can wrap the show up. Okay.
All right.
So when you've decided that you want to stay in this business and stay as an entrepreneur, and you want to grow your business, and the opportunity is now with it being slow, because escrow officers or title officers can now listen to you and have time to actually hear what you might have to say. And, the competition is going to start dwindling down a little bit as the slower it gets, the longer we go through this, less competition. I mean, that's just a fact, right? This is a time where you want to definitely increase your skill, whether it's become better at the notary side of things, maybe go to Notary Stars and learn how to do HELOCs or how to do reverse mortgages, or something you've never done before and you've always been afraid to choose when you get an order because you don't know how to do it. Now is the time to increase your notary skill. Or if it's something else you want to do, now is the time to go out there and invest in a course or learn about how to become an officiant or whatever it is you decide, whatever your if-then plan is. Now is the time to grow your mind, grow your knowledge, and learn how to put a plan to do that. Also, once you decide what it is you want to do, whether it's grow your existing business or grow an additional business, invest in your business. And I mean both financially and with time. So let's just say you have you're a loan signing agent, but you don't have local general notary work. Now's the time to build a website. Now's the time to learn SEO through Ronnie's marketing courses on Notary Stars. Now's the time to say, how can I grow my business? And back in 2008, when the market crashed, I was just doing loan signings. And as a result of loan signings basically disappearing, I was forced to build my website, to learn SEO on my own. That's when I became an officiant. And that's how I added all this additional income. Right now, even though it's I still get business, I would say general notary work is about 70% of my income right now because I've built it up so well. I show up on the first page of Google listings, and so that sort of thing. And then and in terms of marketing, now's the time. If we say cut expenses, this is the one area where if you really want to take your business serious, double down on your marketing, get creative.
Amen.
We can definitely talk about that on a different show. And finally, build relationships. If you're going to be staying as a notary, who can you build relationships with? Escrow officers, real estate agents. Identify who you want to connect with, and maybe do Chamber of Commerce mixers, or go to conventions. Maybe Ronnie was just telling me about this, joining a escrow association as an allied partner, and then go to their meetings. Or there's so many different ways where you can actually give people the opportunity to get to know you, because people love doing business with people they like and trust. And this is building a relationship with someone is exactly how you do that. And in addition to that, building relationships with people like like Ronnie and I have a great business relationship, or other notaries that are in the industry, or making friends, like going to these conventions. I mean, how many people got other people's email addresses that are now ready to connect? And I know of people who were probably just, I'm sure there's people connecting already, you know, making friends in the industry. And given how lonely our industry can be at times, it just makes the work a lot more fun as well. So those are my 3 cents on this, Ronnie. If you want to wrap it up here with your take on the growth part of the opportunity with a recession.
Absolutely. And I want to try to make sure I don't forget these. So the first thing is, you said double down on marketing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, just in the last 48 hours, Unlimited Inc. released 1,500 landing pages into the search engines, which will take up to 10 weeks to get done. Travis and I have already talked about it. You know, I'm always marketing, always putting out new ways, finding new ways. We released a landing page for every single zip code in every market that we're in. And we keep building them. Same thing for Notary Stars and my other website, Online Notaries Public. We are using this time during the downturn to get, you know, what we want. We are making commercials and running them. We definitely, because we continue to grow. We brought on 11 new clients. I mean, we have over 250 offices, and we brought on 11 new clients in the first part of January. Business is still there. They might be slower, but we brought on new clients, and it's replacing what our other clients are slow. So it's a good time to double down on marketing. Absolutely. Increasing skills. Now, this is something I just had a call from a notary today who was kind of reluctant. Like, why would I take Notary to Pro? Why would I take Notary Stars? And here's the thing, guys. I want everybody to hear this. You know, there's still a lot of competition. There's going to be a lot of competition. That when the business comes back, think about it like this. There are notaries out there, okay? And the best ones I know, they have Notary to Pro, Notary Star, Signing Agent Basics, Loan Signing System, Laura Beaver Estate Training, Bill Soroka, Sign and Thrive. When I look and see all that training on their resume, and I have an order in their area, and then you just have the NNA, who do you think I'm going to hire? Doesn't matter how many you've done. I know those trainers. I know what they stand for, and I know I'm going to get a better notary out of it. If you only have one, add another one. Make it a point. Set yourself a journey of doing like a perfect journey. So increase your skills, and then, you know, add new services, of course. On Notary Stars, we have introductions to Judy Lawrence. We have introductions to Mark Grolier, who does the Unboring Wedding. He's actually coming back pretty soon, and I'd love for you to attend that, Abraham, because he's I know you're doing the wedding officiant business and building that side up.
Sure.
You know, we have introductions to Laura Beaver Estate Training. Increase your skills. Yep. You know, this is the time, because you've got a little time before the market comes back, and it's going to go like a blink of an eye, but it can be a lot more comfortable. And then when it comes back and it gets busy, you're going to have all of this to show for what you did during your downtime. Mm-hmm. I always say, when you look back and say, what did I build? What did I do? Is when you feel the most proudest of yourself. So don't let that opportunity pass you by to double down on your marketing and increase those skills for sure.
Absolutely. And you know, one last thing I want to add, just when you said skills, even your communication skills, right? Even the way you speak and the way you communicate with others. And I just remembered in that summit that these guys a few months ago created a specific notary Toastmasters, which I think is such a cool idea, right? Because you're going to be around a bunch of other Toastmasters, other Toastmasters who are all notaries. And it's virtual, so anybody can join. I forget what it was called, or what. I think it's every other Thursday or something in the morning. But there's another opportunity. You learn how to grow. You get to network with other professionals in your industry. All of this falls under that growth category of improving yourself, improving your relationships, and making and growing your relationships. So I want to finish off with one last tip that you wanted me to throw in there, Ronnie. You said you wanted to mention this, so if you want to go ahead now, would be a good time to do that.
Well, right now everybody's getting ready to file their taxes, or will be in the next 2 months. We did a great session with Notary Assist in Glen Hill, the tax lady, as she refers to herself. I'm not just calling her the tax lady. That's her business. But we did a great session with them for free on Notary Stars Unlimited, where they presented to us back in October to get you prepared. But now it's here, okay? we got to file our taxes. And as you're filing taxes, as you're collecting those W-9s, which will be coming out, we're on 127 right now, 2023.
Yeah.
Most of you have them. Well, don't just turn them into your accountant. Make sure that you have double checked that you only have one W-9 from one company. If they make an error and they send out one and then they send out another one to replace it, you might wind up paying money on two incomes or taxes on two incomes that you didn't expect to pay on. So you want to make sure that you double check your W-9s, make sure that you have them. You get a W-9 from anybody that you worked $600 or more. Some companies will do it if you did less, but you want to make sure you only have one W-9 for each person that you worked for during 2022 when you turn in your taxes, because a lot of companies are notorious for sending one or another copy. And if you just collect them and put them in a folder and then hand them to your accountant, it could get bypassed and entered twice.
Right.
Or if you're doing them yourself, you may think that you have to enter them twice, but you only enter in one W-9 per company. So that's our tax tip for this month for you guys as you are getting ready to file your taxes.
Absolutely. And such a simple
that tax
way.
tip comes from Notary Assist, I think one of the best notary softwares out there for running a notary business, and from Glenn Hill, the tax lady.
There it is. There it is. Notary tax tip of the month. I love it. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, you definitely could save you a lot of headaches when it comes to the IRS. So thank you for sharing that, Ronnie. And I think that brings us to the end of the show. I appreciate you being on here and sharing your knowledge, your wisdom. It's always a good time.
Being here.
It's fun. It's always fun, right? We never know what's going to happen, but it's always fun. Absolutely. So thanks again, Ronnie. And for those of you who tuned in, we really appreciate you being here. And until next time, be productive, stay healthy, be well. Take care, guys. Bye now.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Notary Business Talk. To learn more about becoming a notary entrepreneur or to find out how Abraham can help you achieve your business goals, visit notarybusinesstalk.com.